Welcome to this lesson of the Conegliano Valdobbiadene Academy, in which we shall learn how to enjoy the Conegliano Valdobbiadene experience in the restaurant and hotel sectors. In this lesson, we will discover how to choose a Conegliano Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore. We will also get to know the best way to store this wine. Lastly, we will learn the ideal rules for serving Conegliano Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore and the foods that go best with it.
Conegliano Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore DOCG is the expression of its terroir and of the combined forces of numerous families who have successfully created a brand that is recognized all over the world. Today we are at Gigetto, an outstanding restaurant that gives us the chance to admire a beautiful cellar which contains a whole host of splendid wines with fascinating stories to tell. How do we recognize a fine bottle of Prosecco DOCG? By the label, which must definitely give full details of the region the wine comes from, i.e. Conegliano Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore DOCG, and by this government strip, which gives guarantees to the consumer that a myriad of checks have been made, ensuring the traceability that undoubtedly makes the client feel more satisfied and more protected. This is because the consortium has to make a very large number of controls, last but not least that of the wine's quality in the glass. We can find Prosecco Superiore. We can find wines from the Rive, whose origin is even more specific because they are made from grapes grown in a tiny part of the region, and we can find the region's top wines labelled Cartizze, which have been in great demand all over the world for many years and are now winning lots of awards. The tendency is now to use a little less dosage than before, and this characteristic means that Prosecco DOCG can be likened to other fine and very versatile. In the brut, extra dry or dry styles, i.e. with a sugar content that makes the product either drier or mellower. We shouldn't try to age this wine very long. It tastes at its best 18 to 24 months after the vintage. The advice I want to give you is this. Our bottles are made by the producers to be made available to all of us who love wine, so that every day can be a celebration. Every day with the bottles we open, we succeed in putting a smile on very many people's faces. Remember always to check that the region is clearly shown on the label, and especially that there is the strip label which guarantees that the consortium's controls have been carried out.
Fresco ed elegante, il Conegliano Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore nella sua...
Refreshing and elegant, Conegliano Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore's unique style is ideal for all sorts of occasions, from an aperitif to throughout the meal. Having become famous throughout the world as an ambassador for Italian quality and refinement, Conegliano Valdobbiadene wine is recognized internationally as the undisputed king of the aperitivo, a ritual that, starting from Italy, has now spread to the rest of the world, from New York to Tokyo, establishing a typically Italian style of drinking. Conegliano Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore should be served on its own, not mixed, so as to highlight its pure, clean style. Thanks to the wealth of expressions that the Conegliano Valdobbiadene zone offers, Prosecco Superiore is also excellent for drinking throughout a meal, particularly in the brut version, both with local specialities and with many recipes of contemporary cuisine. The taste characteristics that one should bear in mind when matching our wine with food are those of lightness and delicacy, fundamental aspects of fashionable present-day haute cuisine and typical aspects of Prosecco too. Relatively straightforward cooking methods and preparations that bring out natural, essential flavors go perfectly with the best Prosecco Superiores, those with the most marked mineral qualities, mainly from the hills. With their tanginess, freshness and liveliness of taste, they are ideal for lifting the flavors of soft, rounded foods. Fine fillets of fish, seafood and tender shellfish like scallops, but also soft cheeses and all the recipes containing them. That's the secret of pairing this wine, being able to match a fruity and floral wine, elegant and never overpowering, with foods and cuisines in which the ingredients succeed in expressing themselves, thanks to cooking techniques that preserve the flavors and aromas of the products used. Contemporary cuisine, perhaps lightly spiced, is therefore one of the most interesting and enjoyable matches for Prosecco Superiore. Wine pairing with the local cuisine deserves a chapter to itself. This is the expression of age-old traditions linked to the products of the land, a rural cuisine with a wealth of genuine flavors. Conegliano Valdobbiadene, with its variety of styles, is ideal for accompanying the most precious products of the kitchen gardens in its area of origin, such as the typical radicchio of Treviso or asparagus. The appealing, faintly bitter flavors of these two outstanding vegetables will find a nice contrast in the rounded taste of certain Proseccos, perhaps in this case especially those from the areas to the southeast, which typically have a more Mediterranean profile, more mellow than incisive, more fruity than floral and mineral. Prosecco Superiore, with similar taste characteristics, can also accompany recipes using wild herbs, from spring frittatas to pastoral rice dishes, but also those based on vegetables that are decidedly green in taste, courgettes, cabbage, escarole, or vegetables whose intense greenness is tempered by softer elements, for example spinach when it is mixed with ricotta, as used in pasta fillings, erbazzone or torta pasqualina. Prosecco Superiore can also be drunk with a large variety of cold cuts, perhaps avoiding those that are excessively hot and spicy and going for those with a more harmonious taste, like cooked or smoked ham and mortadella. Try it with dairy products and cheeses, with the exception of those that are very mature and of blue cheeses. It is clear then that as long as Prosecco Superiore is matched with a fresh, delicate taste, the pairing will be ideal. Nowadays, it is increasingly women who choose the wine in restaurants. We'll now show you the correct technique for serving the wine. The lady has chosen her wine. It has been presented on her left-hand side and is now served on her right, pouring just a tiny drop of wine for her so that she can approve it and we can serve the other diners. Would you like to taste your wine? As soon as she gives her approval, we can carry on serving. The most important thing is for the label to always be visible to the person who has just been served. This is the glass that has been designed by the consortium to show the product at its best. It is a glass whose bowl is fairly distant from the base, with a long stem that allows you to keep your hand well below the bowl, and especially with a suitably shaped bowl that allows you to perceive the wine's aromas and, above all, enjoy all its taste sensations. How should this wine be stored at the restaurant? Often the bottles are kept in the cellar so that they remain in the dark and especially at a constant temperature, between 12 and 14 degrees centigrade. The wines should be classified by zone or region, or perhaps based on the importance of certain wines. One of the most important elements of all that influences wine, from the vineyard to when it is served, is temperature. As ours is a sparkling wine, it should always be served between 6 and 8 degrees. But what does between 6 and 8 degrees mean? It means that to serve it at 6 degrees, I have to store it at 4 degrees centigrade, because the glass will warm it up by 2 degrees. The lower the temperature of the wine, the more fine and concentrated the bubbles will be. We should always remember the temperature at which the wine is served is extremely important for the person who chooses and tastes it, for those who drink it, and for whoever finishes the bottle. Don't forget, a bottle may be great when you've finished it, but it becomes extraordinary when you order a second one.
In this lesson, we have learned how to choose Conegliano Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore. We have understood what are the best ways to store this wine. And lastly, we have learned the rules for serving Conegliano Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore and how to pair it with food. All you have to do now is enjoy the difference.